Hey there, welcome back to the channel. Today we are doing the November question and answer. This is for the parents who have purchased my Ready Family Guide. Now, this is our family's personal copy of it. I printed this off at home. The Ready Family Guide is a digital resource, but of course, I recommend all my moms and dads to print it off. This is just something you could do at a local office supply store or local print shop. Having it in paper is going to be game changer when you are dealing with things. You can write notes and stuff in it. So I very much recommend printing it off. Otherwise, it is a digital resource. This guide goes through my top protocols for children that are all holistic. So you're using things like homeopathy, essential oils, different therapies like nebulizing, wet sock treatment. There's so much information in this that's going to really reassure you in your journey of using holistic remedies, as well as loads of information about how to know when it is too far. It's something you should go to the doctor for. There's recipes in here for like my best electrolyte drink mix, gummies. There's loads in here, and all of it's infused with faith over fear. Faith that you are doing an incredible job. You can look at your child and know what's going on and help them to not have fear over sickness. So if you're interested in purchasing that resource, check out the description box below. It is on sale right now currently, so you'll want to grab that if you don't have it already. Every month, the purchasers of my guide can submit a question and I will answer it on here. I often do still answer them separately a little bit just so that they kind of have something to go off of, especially if it's something more acute, something that they need a quicker answer for. But I want to share with you as well so that you can start continuing to collect information about holistic remedies and resources. The best part about having a resource guide is that you don't have to remember it all. It is a lot of information. And my background is being a registered nurse for several years before I retired, plus having my holistic health coach. I've been a mom for over a decade, and this is my niche. This is my passion. So I remember a lot of this information, but I still look this up when I'm like, what is the ratio for that nebulizer solution? Or what is it that we've given in the past for that specific issue, like hand, foot, mouth, or whatever? I still look it up. So if you are continuing to collect information, like you're doing a great job. So I got several questions today. We're going to go through them. It's going to be great. So question number 1 is, hey there, Chanel, my little guy on and off deals with constipation. What would you recommend we try? Okay, on and off constipation, very common in children, although I do think there are some very key things you can do to help prevent it as well as help ease that discomfort for them. Constipation comes from when the stool in the bowels starts to lose too much water for a variety of reasons, and it can become really hard to pass. Emotions can be connected to constipation just like the other way when there's the runs. Emotions can lead into that. So if you have just had a big life change, starting a preschool, going to daycare, something like that, a trip, anything like that can also make constipation happen more often, just like for adults, right? And so just taking note of some of those potential emotional things. If it is through the potty training phase and there is almost a fear or something that your child is kind of holding on to their bowel movements instead of releasing them, that can also be contributing. So making sure that potty training is a really positive experience, that it is encouraging, that you give them lots of opportunity to sit on the potty, that sort of thing. With constipation, a very first thing I would recommend is water intake. Water intake, fluid intake in general. If there is not enough fluids, it's going to dry out the stool in the bowels quite quickly, and that is going to lead to it being a lot harder for them to pass. And so water intake, I would 10 out of 10 recommend using like the electrolyte mix in here. If you have, I do not recommend purchasing electrolyte drinks. They're not great ingredients in most of them. Some of the mixes are okay, but making your own is always best. Some coconut water, some pure fruit juice, some magnesium powder. That's another thing I'll talk about in a moment more, but potassium and some sea salt in there, and getting your child to drink one of those a day. Finish it with a big glass of water, that sort of thing. Magnesium is so fantastic. It is part of over 3,000 processes in our body, and magnesium is huge for relaxing muscles. And so when you think about all the muscles that push stool along in the bowels, those muscles need to have that relaxing. So giving a magnesium supplement, we love using the Orange Naturals powder. I know that's not necessarily as easy to acquire if you're in the States, so I will link some options below if you're in the States, but I'll link the Orange Naturals magnesium powder below. That is my favorite way, is that magnesium drink mix. Another, a really effective way to get things moving if there's an acute constipation kind of situation you're dealing with, is vitamin C. Vitamin C is water soluble in the body, which means that you cannot overdose it really. Like your body will just flush it out. The literal worst thing that happens if you give too much vitamin C is diarrhea. So if your child is quite constipated, they're very uncomfortable, they haven't gone 2, 3, 4+ days, I would be giving every couple hours, I'd be giving vitamin C to help get things moving. I would also still be giving, of course, lots of fluids, magnesium, but that vitamin C is going to help get things moving. And you could use like a liposomal vitamin C, you could use a chewable. There's a few different options. For just a ongoing supplement of vitamin C, I very much recommend the Acerola Cherry Powder by Flora. There are some other brands as well you can get, but that Acerola Cherry Powder is so high in vitamin C, but you have all the other flavonoids and different or like natural compounds that are going to help utilize that vitamin C. So that is, it's a whole food, which I absolutely love, but there are, again, other like ascorbic acid supplements out there, which are like synthetic vitamin C. They're not bad per se. They're just not my absolute favorite, like the Acerola Cherry Powder, but giving vitamin C on a regular basis. Other really simple things you can do are Epsom salt bath. That often will help relax them and then get them on the potty right away. Giving them some coconut oil every day on a spoon, like some cold pressed coconut oil. That is going to be really effective in helping kind of just keep everything lubricated through the gut and the bowels. Making sure you're looking at their diet, of course, as well. Now, if their diet is primarily processed carbohydrates, that's going to be really hard on their gut to keep things moving. Processed carbohydrates like crackers, cookies, breads, pastas, anything grain related is going to be a processed carbohydrate usually. So shifting to more whole foods like meats, some fruits, some cooked vegetables. I'm a big fan of cooked vegetables over raw vegetables. There's a few that are okay raw, carrots, cucumbers, bell peppers, but like broccolis, cauliflowers, spinach, a lot of those they're easier to digest when they're cooked or steamed already. But moving away from cereals and breads and those sorts of things towards meats, fruits, a little bit of grain's okay. It's not that you should just completely stop it, but just making sure that, when you're looking at their last like 2-3 days of what they ate and you're like, okay, they had cereal with some milk, then they had some crackers, and then we had sandwiches for lunch, like that is a lot of processed carbohydrates. Having way more whole foods on the plate is going to be really helpful. If you're dealing with a picky eater, I know that can be challenging. Kids won't starve themselves. Like they will eventually eat, and if it's just not an available option, that can be hard to shift for some kids from having it to be an available option to not, but it is worth it. It is so worth it. And long term, they're going to feel better as well, which is really helpful. So I hope that those tips kind of help your little guy out. And there are other things you can do. There are homeopathies you can use as well. That definitely research. Look at some options. There are so many different types of teas and herbs and things that you can try. But I would start with upping fluid intake with electrolytes, magnesium, vitamin C, and just having a look over their diet and see if you can maybe make some switches to some more whole foods. All right, next question. What brand of nebulizer do you guys use? All right, so we have a compressor nebulizer. I will link below the exact one we have. We purchased so many years ago, they don't even sell it anymore, but there are compressor nebulizers on most, simple websites like Amazon. I'll link a couple below. And those are going to be a plug-in nebulizer. They're going to be the most powerful. When you are dealing with something like croup, middle of the night, your child's barking, you don't want to be fussing with a weak nebulizer. You want something really strong. I have also recently tried a battery operated nebulizer, and the power of steam coming out of it was so weak compared to our plug-in nebulizer. It is just not something I would necessarily recommend to have as your only option. If you can have both, absolutely, because the one that is battery powered is a lot quieter and it's portable, which is great for if you have to be in the vehicle or you're on your way to something, or you're in a part of your house that is just harder to get a plug into. But the compressor nebulizer, if you are only going to get one, get the good one. Get a good one that's plug in. It's going to give you that constant, powerful stream. You're not going to be worried about batteries dying or weak steam stream of the nebulized medicine or anything like that. All right, question number 3. Why do you take beef liver? Oh my goodness, I could go on and on about beef liver. So I've been taking beef organ, beef liver specifically, for 6, 7 years now, maybe. And the nutrient value of beef liver capsules, beef organ capsules in general, is so superior to basically any supplement you can get out there. It is truly like a natural multivitamin. It is just whole food. If you like eating beef liver or kidney, heart, heart actually it doesn't really have a taste. We just get that ground into our ground beef when we butcher a cow. Spleen is another one. We could talk about spleen a whole nother time. There are several beef organs that you can consume that have so many nutrient value, so much nutritional benefit. Beef liver specifically is very high in vitamin A, retinol vitamin A, not beta carotene, retinol vitamin A, which is very, very necessary for the body. It's also high in copper, which most people are quite deficient in copper. It is actually a really common deficiency, which then often leads to iron deficiency. If you're interested in that, check out the description below for a link to a full talk I did about iron deficiency anemia and what you can do naturally. But liver itself is going to have this really beautiful blend, complex blend of nutrients that your body needs. It's a whole food. It's literally just freeze-dried beef liver. It's not cooked. It is like the whole food form. And so you are getting an incredibly high quality vitamin. Personally, what I have noticed with the several years I've been taking it, my periods, when I'm not pregnant, of course, are very, very mild. The bleeding, the amount of bleeding that I'm doing is like a quarter to a third of what I was before. So if, before, you lose whatever, this much blood, it is literally a quarter to a third that I'm losing of blood, which is very substantial. I went to having like 1 to 2 days of cramps, feeling quite bloated and just not great for a couple days, to literally nothing. I get 0 PMS symptoms. That is huge. That is absolutely huge. Circulation wise, I always have had cold hands, cold feet, needed sweaters. I absolutely feel a difference in the temperature of my body and the circulation in my body from beef liver. I have had just great health. I can't complain about anything, any aspect of my health. I'm on my 5th pregnancy and I've had a phenomenal pregnancy. And so I just very much attribute it to taking beef organs on a regular basis. Now, beef liver specifically, like I said, high vitamin A, high copper, there's multiple other nutrients it's high in. There are different nutrient profiles for kidney, spleen, and heart as well. Different blends may have some of those as well. Again, if you want to hear more about spleen, check out the iron deficiency video I did in the description below, because that's going to have way more information about that. If you are wanting to kind of just help your health out, maybe if you're losing your hair a little bit or you just feel kind of off, get on some beef liver. Like 10 out of 10, you need to get on some beef liver. Grab the brand I have linked below, is the brand I've been on for years. And we actually recently have started making our own beef organ capsules because we're just extra like that, I guess. But we now have a freeze dryer, which has been really, really fun. but I know that that is like probably like 1 in a million people right now have a freeze dryer. So purchase your beef organ capsules. Just get some, get on their subscription so it just comes every month. And I would love to hear testimonies below of any health benefits you notice from being on them. It is like they're literally amazing. I have had the question when it comes to beef liver before is, it's a filtering organ. Aren't you just taking in toxins? And the liver actually doesn't just filter the toxins, it neutralizes and processes them out. So you are not ingesting those toxins when you are taking beef liver. Making sure you're getting a brand that is very transparent, grass-fed, grass-finished, like as wholesome as possible. There are lots of brands popping up. I would not recommend just going on Amazon and buying beef liver. Research the company you're buying from. Find out where they're getting their source from. Is it locally or not? The brand Higher Health that I've taken for years and years and years is Alberta, Canadian Alberta, grass-fed, grass-finished. So I know that it is highest quality I can possibly get. And these capsules are so easy to take. I do 3 in the morning, 3 in the evening. And yeah, I always have noticed a difference when I forgot to take it for a couple days or something like that. I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't sleep as good or whatever. So definitely worth being on and taking. Hey there, Chanel. Do you give your kids probiotics or do you just give them probiotic rich foods? Thanks. I do both. So we ferment yogurt every week. I have made in the past, we've experimented with lots of fermented foods, but things like kefir, kombucha, I've made fermented fruits and veggies before. Right now we're mostly just doing the yogurt. It is kind of where my capacity is at with having another baby right away. We do yogurt every week and our kids eat, oh, okay, how many liters of yogurt? Probably about 6 liters between the 4 to 5 of us. My husband will eat it sometimes, I'll eat it sometimes, but mostly the kids. I'll put it into smoothies, all of that. And then we also have probiotic supplements as well. There is a brand called Orange Naturals. If you follow me on Instagram, you've heard me talk about this brand a few times. I really love their products. They have some great probiotics for kids. I also take that brand of probiotics for myself. And then we also have a very specific brand of probiotics, and I'll link it below, that my 4th son is on right now from our naturopath. He's been dealing with some little sores on his cheeks that just aren't healing as quickly as I want them to heal. And so we had the same thing happen with our 3rd son a couple years ago, and these probiotics plus these very specific homeopathies healed it up really quickly. And so he's on that probiotic. So I'll link those ones below and you can check those out. But probiotic rich foods will always trump a supplement. It just depends on your capacity level. If you are able to ferment multiple things a week and you're getting it all in your diet and that is something easy for you, do that. 1000% do that. But if not so much, then that's okay to purchase probiotics. There are many different strains out there, and people think store-bought yogurt often has really good probiotics. Not always. There is a lot of probiotic yogurts out there that really don't have much in them. So do some research. Probiotics can be so helpful for so many things like mood balancing and digestive stuff. Like there's a lot of benefits there. So definitely do some research on some different ones if you're not sure, but those are the brands we use. Hey Chanel, what brand of shampoo do you use? I'd love to know. Thanks. I have gone through many different brands of shampoo. Finding clean shampoo is not the easiest thing. It's better and better every year. I remember like over 10 years ago, 12 years ago, when I first started my crunchy journey, trying to find a clean shampoo that worked was like needle in the haystack. I cleared out our local health food shop. I bought one of each shampoo they had, and there's so many of them that were just garbage. I love that there's so many more clean brands all the time coming out, and and there are some great options. So I have in the past used Acton Acre. They have some great ingredients. It is a bit on the pricier side, but I did notice my hair really liked that brand. It worked for a while, and then after I had my 4th son, it just was not cutting it. I think just all the postpartum hormonal changes was not working for me. So I switched to Everest, which is a Canadian brand, and it is more of a concentrated shampoo. That shampoo is fabulous. I still love it to this day. It's been a couple of years of using that. I also will buy different specific brands like Routine at our local refillery. So if you have a refillery that does clean products, definitely still read the labels because there are some of them that don't actually have clean ingredients. But looking for things that are sodium lauryl sulfate free and fragrance free, that's going to be kind of your bare minimum. And then you could make sure that there's no PEGs, BHTA. There's a few other ingredients that you'll kind of want to stay away from. But if you're staying away from sodium lauryl sulfate and fragrance, it's probably a pretty clean brand. What do you give your kids for cold prevention? We've had about 3 colds this fall already, and I'm super sick of it. That's very real, very real. For the families that have my guide, read through immune support. I believe it's 3 pages long on different things you can do that are going to be either no cost or low cost or just something you can build into your family routines. We do a few different things. I really love these Gamadine gold, copper, silver tablets. This is a homeopathic, and you give 1 per week. So just pick a day of the week. Everybody in the family gets one. If they're under like 3 to 4 years old, you could split them in half and give just half a tablet. You'll want to make sure that you don't have food in your mouth when you're taking it, they haven't just drank something, and that they wait 10 or 15 minutes before they consume any other fluids or liquids after taking it. This gold, copper, silver is a homeopathic. It gets really deep into the cells, and it is fantastic for cold prevention. So that is one really easy thing you can do. I also love elderberry syrup and making elderberry syrup. I do have a video coming right away if it's not already out. We'll link it below when it's there, on making your own elderberry syrup. It's quite simple, and that's something you can give again every single day. It's literally just berries that you're making a syrup into or just a tincture out of, and that is really simple to give kind of every day. But building in some of those immune supportive things like bone broth, vitamin C, echinacea into your regular weekly regimen of what you're giving your family is going to help that as well. Dietary wise, reducing sugars, reducing complex carbohydrates, reducing the processed carbohydrates, and making sure that your kids are getting good sleep. Some of that's kind of just really basic, but if you're having a lot of things happen, a lot of colds, sometimes it's not preventable. But if you're looking at things, you're like, yeah, we have had like 3 or 4 late nights of the week, or they've got a lot of commitments with sports, you might want to reevaluate that. Maybe there's something that's not serving your family that you need to trim out, and that's totally okay to do that. All right, iron deficiency anemia. Okay, again, this is another question related to iron deficiency anemia, so I'm not going to go over it here. I'm going to link the video below to watch all about iron deficiency anemia. And last question, hey Chanel, I'm really interested in homeschooling. I'm thinking about taking my daughter out of school. It's not an option for me to stop working. I need to see if this can work for our family. I would love to talk about homeschooling. And again, I think this is something that I need to do a full video on because there is so much I could share about this. We've been homeschooling right from preschool with our first, which would have been, I think, 6 years ago. Yeah, 6 years ago. And we've loved it. It has suited our family beautifully. And I know it's not for every family, but if it is for your family, you absolutely deserve to look into it, and your family deserves you to explore that as an option. Homeschooling does not have to be all or nothing. You don't have to decide we're going to homeschool this year for the rest of their education. You can take it year by year, and that is something that I would very much encourage you to do. So if you are wanting to look into homeschooling, you'll want to contact a school board first. So that's going to be your step 1 is finding a school board that is a homeschooling board that is aligned with your values. We go a much more traditional route than the education system, like the public school system. So traditional route means that we just do our own thing. We don't want anybody telling us what curriculum to use, what we're supposed to be teaching. It's completely parent-directed education for our children. We only do school like 4 days a week, kind of max. I have done 5-day weeks in the past, here and there, but most of the time it's like 4-day weeks, even 3-day weeks. I have my oldest three are all in school. I've got a kindergartner, a grade 2, and a grade 4. And we do school for like 1.5 to 2 hours a day. So it is relaxed education. It's all about them learning to love learning and the world around them. So much of what's happening in schools is a lot of just managing children and getting them from one thing to the next thing. You've got a large classroom full of children, one or two teachers. It is very different when you're one-on-one. You can get a lot more learning done in that very short period of time than you can in a large group setting. And it's also tailored to your child. If you have a child that needs to kind of move while they're doing stuff, or they have a very specific way of relating to the world, like, you can cater to that. It's beautiful. And the resources and the curriculum out there are absolutely top notch. There's so many, and there's lots of free resources. So I would get in contact with the school board, find one that aligns with your values, ask them some questions. We personally use Wisdom Homeschooling. It is a school board here in Alberta. It might be even across North America. I'm not even sure, but we use Wisdom. They have been phenomenal. We have 2 meetings a year. It is all parent directed. They trust us. They look at everything. We are the ones that creates the whole learning plan for our children and executes that. And yeah, it's I can promise you homeschooling is simpler than you're making it when you're thinking. But I'm going to do a whole separate video talking about the resources and books we use so you can see the way that we do it. All right, thanks so much for watching. Again, if you are interested in that Ready Family Guide, check out the resource link below so that you can learn all about that. This is such a comprehensive guide. You are going to love having this in the middle of the night. If you are wanting to use holistic remedies for your kids for headaches and colds and croup and cough and hand, foot, mouth, if you have anxiety around your children being sick, this resource is going to help you so much with that. And the testimonies from the moms that have this resource have just blown me away. You'll want to read some of those on my website and consider grabbing that for your family today. Thanks so much for watching. If this has helped you, if you have a question or anything, comment below. I'd love to hear what you have to say. If you can hit that subscribe button, like, comment, all of this helps support our channel. We are new to the YouTube world. We are really wanting to see this grow and reach more families. So please, doing any of those things is going to help grow our channel.